Good morning. Welcome to Story Time. This is Miss Betsy and Mr. Don here at Center Presbyterian Church to entertain your toddlers and children for a little while. We hope you enjoy it. And first we're going to sing our Hello, Hello song, which you all know by now, so let's stand up and sing it. Some of you are really good at it. Everybody up! Hi everybody, I'm so happy to see you.
Hello, hello, can you clap your hands? Hello, hello, can you clap your hands? Can you stretch up high? Can you touch your toes? Can you turn around? Can you say hello?
Hello!
Hello, hello, can you stamp your feet? Hello, hello, can you stamp your feet? Can you stretch up high? Can you touch your toes? Can you turn around? Can you say hello?
Hi!
Hello, hello, can you clap your hands? Hello, hello, can you stamp your feet?
Very good. That was so good. You guys are really good at it, aren't you? Well, last weekend was the 4th of July, and we celebrated our nation's birthday. And that's very important. I wonder if any of you got to go see fireworks. There isn't going to be as many this year, I don't think. Fireworks is good for some people, but some people are afraid of it, and some doggies are afraid of it. Have you ever had a doggie that was afraid of loud noises and thunderstorms? So fireworks are fun, but they're kind of scary for people too. But generally, they're really safe, and as long as an adult is taking care of it, you don't need to worry about it. Today, our story is about Jacob's son Joseph. Now, you know we talked about Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. Jacob was Joseph's son. Or Jacob was Isaac's son, and Jacob had a son, Joseph. He had many sons, actually. He had 12 sons. And Joseph was his next to the youngest, and Joseph was his favorite. And we're going to talk about that a lot. Joseph was one of Jacob's 12 sons. Jacob loved him more than all of his other sons. I don't know how I feel about that. How do you feel about if your mommy or daddy loved your brother or sister more than you? I don't think I would like it a whole lot. Jacob made Joseph a colorful robe. His brothers were jealous. They wanted nice robes too, and they wanted to be loved as much as Joseph was loved. It's a beautiful coat, isn't it? Joseph's coat of many colors. This is the story of it. But his brothers were jealous. Then Joseph had a dream. He told his family, "We were bundling grain from the field, and your bundles of grain bowed down to mine." Then Joseph had another dream. He said, "This time the sun and the moon and the 11 stars were bowing down to me." His father asked, "Does this mean our family will bow down to you someday?" That seems kind of bragging, doesn't it? You know what bragging is when you're talking about you're better than other people? Well, the brothers were even more angry, and they threw Joseph in a dry well. Look, he's way down in a well. And then along came some traders, and the brothers sold Joseph to them as a slave. They lied to their father and said Joseph had been killed by a wild animal, but God was with Joseph. Next week we'll learn about how God was with Joseph. Let's sing Joy, 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 Joy down in my heart. you're not even allowed to say. And they're sight words. This is the word love. And sometimes people put a heart there because you have love in your heart. Joseph's brothers should have loved him. It wasn't his fault his father loved him more. And Joseph should not have bragged about those dreams. He maybe should have kept those dreams to himself. But God had a plan, and it went that way for a reason. Sometimes we're jealous and envious of people. And the people we love, we generally love them because they're like us, they're family, they're kind to us, they do nice things for us. We like to play with them. We have the same things in common with them. And sometimes we don't like people because we're jealous of them, or we envy something they have, or they're just different. But you like to have different flowers around, don't you? And you like to try different things. So different is good sometimes, and if you know people that are different from you, and sometimes you get to know them, the more you know them, the happier you'll be, and the more you'll love them. Okay, we're going to talk about Wally weather now. Wally is hot. It is hot. It's so hot, I put 2 suns up again. There's a few clouds around. Yesterday it was hot, today it was hot, and tomorrow it's going to be hot. And sometimes there's going to be thunderstorms, and they come up when they come up. You don't know when they're going to come up. The season is still summer. We're just in the beginning of summer. And look how red the thermometer is. Almost 100 degrees. It was probably around the 90s today, and it'll probably be pretty warm the whole next couple weeks. Our letter today is the letter L. L. L makes a la sound, la. And the number is 12. And I found pictures of the 12 disciples. Their names are Peter, Andrew, James, and John, Philip, Bartholomew, Simon, Matthew, James, Thaddeus, Thomas, and Judas Iscariot. And you can see Judas has the money bag, and he's walking away. He takes the money in the end. What is a disciple? A disciple is somebody who follows somebody, generally. They followed Jesus, and they helped him sort of run his business, because Jesus' business was to go and tell people about God's love. And they all loved Jesus because Jesus was a good man, and Jesus took care of them. And Jesus healed many, many people. But some people were afraid of Jesus because he was different. And some of them were afraid of him because he told them to be good, and they hadn't been very good. But Jesus died for us so we could be forgiven for the bad things we did. So you don't need to worry about that. You just ask God to forgive you when you try to be good. Our letters, or our words for the day, that start with L, are ladder, ladybug, leaf, lamp, lion, lemon, and log. Whoops, there's another one there. And lock. You need a key to open a lock, don't you? Lock, lock. So the giant L, which is red, and the 12, which are red, are letters and numbers for the day. We have 12 disciples. 12 is also known as a dozen. You get a dozen eggs, you get a dozen donuts, but sometimes you get a baker's dozen. So we're going to talk about baker's dozens soon. Okay, now I'm going to read you a story about Theodore Mouse up in the air. Theodore Mouse liked different things. I should have put different up. And because he liked to try different things, he was very adventurous. And he worried his family quite a bit. One day when the wind was wild and the sun was warm, Theodore Mouse washed his sheets and hung them out to dry. The wind caught the sheets and puffed them up like big fat marshmallows. And that gave Theodore an idea. With a bedsheet balloon, Theodore said, I could fly. Theodore was always getting ideas like that. Restless, his mother would say. Careless, his father would say. What will become of him? His aunts would ask his uncles. But Theodore didn't care what anyone said. Let every other mouse stay in his own little house. I want to see how other mouse lived, or how other mice live. I want to see what other mice do, and I want to see what they eat and how they play. I want to see the world. So he was out for different things. So with his idea in his head and a sheet in his hand, Theodore climbed to the roof of his house. He strapped his knapsack on his back and waited for a strong wind to blow. His mother and father and sisters and brothers and aunts and uncles all ran out of their houses. They looked up at Theodore. Oh my, this looks dangerous to me. You're not a bird, his mother cried. You're not a bee or a butterfly, his sister shouted. That's true, Theodore answered, but I'm going to fly. Watch me. Be careful, his father called. Goodbye, Theodore cried, for there wasn't time to say anything else. His sheet caught a big gust of wind, and up in the air he went. Theodore Mouse was on his way to see the world. Wow, that kind of looks like fun. It's almost like he has wings. Over the country he flew, riding the skies without a care in the world. Soon Theodore was looking down at the farm. From the sky, the fields and the pastures looked like a beautiful patchwork quilt. Look how pretty it looks. Theodore would have liked to have a closer look at the cows and the horses, but the wind hurried him on his way. Then look how tiny they look from way up where he is. As Theodore flew, he found a way to go as high or as low as he wanted. He just had to swing his feet and raise or lower his arms. This was a very good thing to know, because Theodore was becoming a very tired little mouse. I worry about his arms wearing out, don't you? As the sun began to set, Theodore swung his feet to the left and gently pulled on the right-hand side of his bedsheet balloon. Down, down he drifted. Finally, he landed on a rocky mountain ridge. There was a group of mountain mice, all very surprised to see a mouse with a bedsheet fall from the sky. As they gathered around, Theodore told them of how he had flown there from his house. There were many oohs and ahs, for not one of the other mountain mice had ever flown. Not one of them had ever even left their mountain home. You must be hungry, a gray mouse said. You must be thirsty, a white mouse said. Now that you mention it, said Theodore, I am. Then follow us, the mountain mouse said. Now see, they're different, but they offered him food and drink right away, and that's what we should do if people come that are different. They all helped Theodore carry his bedsheet up a steep, narrow path. Over the ridge was a large clearing, and around the clearing were many small, snuggly caves. In the center of the clearing was a crackling campfire, and over the fire hung a black pot full of bubbling stew. A brown mouse handed Theodore a tin cup filled with cool mountain spring water. Theodore drank every drop. Then he and the mountain mice sat in a big circle around the fire, and a fat gray mouse ladled stew into little stone bowls. Theodore had never tasted anything so good. This is delicious, he cried. Excuse me. After dinner, they each had a cup of tasty wild berry tea. A full moon appeared in the sky, and Theodore thought the stars twinkled more brightly than he had ever seen them twinkle before. That's probably because he was closer to the stars up in the mountains. One of the mountain mice played a banjo, and another played a tiny silver harmonica. The other mice sang along with the music. It was a pretty song called The Rocky Caves, and Theodore listened very hard so that he could remember the words. After they finished singing, a little brown and white mouse said it was time to tell stories. Then he told a scary story about a monster called Ratus, who lived in a dark cave at the very top of the mountain. The story was so scary that it made Theodore shiver. I don't know any scary stories, Theodore said, but I do know a funny one, and he told him about the time his Aunt Winnie dropped a flower pot on his Uncle Chester's head. Everyone in the village took a turn at trying to pull it off. All the mountain mice laughed and laughed. Now it was time for bed. The mountain mice gave Theodore a sleeping bag, and they showed him how to unroll it on a soft mat of pine needles. Theodore fell asleep, counting the stars. The next morning, everyone arose with the sun. They ate delicious grain mush for breakfast, and then Theodore helped the mountain mice with their chores. The fat gray mouse wrote down the recipes for stew and wild berry tea and grain mush, and she handed them to Theodore. As a present, the other mountain mice gave Theodore a little homemade banjo. Theodore thanked them and put everything in his knapsack. By noon, the wind was blowing hard, and it was time for Theodore to leave. All the mountain mice came to see him off, and they watched as the wind lifted Theodore up in the air. Goodbye, they called to Theodore. Come back soon. I will, Theodore shouted. Thank you. And then he was gone, sailing higher and higher over the mountain ridge toward home. Now that's a nice story because the people were being really nice to them, weren't they? They were being nice to Theodore, and Theodore was nice to them too because he helped them with their chores. They fed him, and they even gave him the recipes so he could remember them by making the stews and the teas that they had fed him. That's a nice story, and Theodore Mouse was not afraid to go meet other people. And we shouldn't be afraid to meet other people. Sometimes they're different, but usually people are pretty nice. We're going to sing If You're Happy and You Know It. Good. That's pretty good. Okay, here we go. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, pat your knees. If you're happy and you know it, pat your knees. If you're happy and you know it, your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, pat your knees. Clap your hands. If you're mad and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're mad and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're mad and you know it, your face will surely show it. If you're mad and you know it, stomp your feet. Pat your knees, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, pick your nose. If you're happy and you know it, pick your nose. If you're happy and you know it, your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, pick your nose. Beep, beep. Stomp your feet. Stomp, stomp. Pat your knees. Pat, pat. Clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray. Hooray! If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray. Hooray! If you're happy and you know it, your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray. Hooray! Beat your nose. Stomp your feet. Pat your knees. Clap your hands. Shout hooray! Hooray! I bet that's what Theodore Mouse felt like doing. Don't you think? Now, we're going to learn about Fiona Flamingo. Who's got this? Not long ago. You guys know about flamingos? One beautiful sunny afternoon where life was simply the best, a little flamingo named Fiona hatched from her egg in a nest. There she is. There's 3 of them, it looks like. Little Fiona grew up making lots of friends. They played flamingo games from day's start to day's end. As the time passed, the birds all became stronger. They also got pinker, and their feathers grew longer. Most flamingos shrimp, yeah. They turned pinker and pinker with each feather they grew. They got bigger and bigger until some of them flew. Wow. Uh-oh. Looks like there might be a problem. Fiona remained featherless until it happened one night. She woke up with feathers, but they were bright white. That's pretty, isn't it? The other flamingos gasped and stared at her in shock. They couldn't believe what they were seeing and wildly began to squawk. Oh, looks like they didn't like it because she was different. Her friends looked at the white feathers, not knowing what to think. You're not the right color. Flamingos are supposed to be pink. I don't think she could help what she was. With everyone shouting, Fiona began to get scared. She looked at her feathers and then she looked at theirs. You don't have to be so loud, and please don't make a scene. That's when Fiona started shaking and her feathers turned green. Oh my goodness. When her friends saw the change, they squawked louder and meaner. Fiona got more anxious and her feathers grew greener. Oh dear. Her friends looked at the green feathers, not knowing what to think. Stop being so silly, Fiona. Flamingos are supposed to be pink. Looks like she can't help it, though. Oh no, said Fiona. This is worse than just bad, but her friends kept on squawking. And then Fiona got mad. You're making me angry, she jumped and furiously said. That's when Fiona started yelling and her feathers turned to red. Oh my goodness, and a bright red too. The flock became silent, hoping things would get better, but Fiona got madder and her feathers grew redder. Her friends looked at the red feathers, not knowing what to think. Don't you think you should calm down now? Flamingos are supposed to be pink. They all rushed to hug her, and now Fiona felt bad. Her anger was fading. Now she felt sad. She whimpered and cried, I'm all mixed up in hue. That's when Fiona started sobbing, and her feathers turned blue. The flock watched from afar, and their concerns grew truer, but Fiona just got sadder, and her feathers grew bluer. Oh, she's so sorry for getting mad. Her friends looked at the blue feathers, not knowing what to think. Just what kind of bird are you? Flamingos are supposed to be pink. No one could cheer her up, so instead they turned away, and when Fiona got lonely, her feathers turned to gray. Oh my goodness. A young chick floated up with a gaze so pure and true. I hope my feathers change colors when I'm as big as you. Little chick liked it, didn't she? Fiona flashed a happy smile and her feathers erupted in color. It was a surprise to everyone. No feather was like any other. Wow, look at all the colors she is. Pink, white, and green, red, blue, and gray. She was every single color now, and that's the way she stayed. The entire flock gathered around, and Fiona gave a big wink. I guess we all learned a lesson here. Flamingos don't have to be pink. The end. So, we don't have to all be the color that people say we should be, always, do we? And we don't have to wear the colors that people say we should. We don't have to be exactly like everybody. People can be different, and it's fine to be different. We're going to do our Tractor song now. We haven't done it for a little while.
Tractor, tractor, harvesting the wheat. Tractor, tractor, harvesting the wheat. Harvesting the wheat, harvesting the wheat. Tractor, tractor, harvesting the wheat. Backhoe, backhoe, digging up the dirt. Backhoe, backhoe, digging
sorry. You're in the middle of your song. I just had to ask you quick. Do you mind if I have a shot at this song? This song right here? Yeah, Tractor, Tractor. I know you wrote it, but I'm sorry too. I kind of just had some ideas I wanted to try.
Well, he's gonna change it, he's gonna make it different.
I'd love to hear it. You sure you don't? Okay. Here. Tractor, tractor, flying through the air. Tractor, tractor, flying through the air. Flying through the air, flying through the air. Tractor, tractor, flying through the air. Andrew? Hey, Andrew. Yeah. Well, you're kind of getting some of the words. Just work with me. Hold on, listen. I'm really excited about this. Fire truck, going through the ball. Fire truck, hey, Andrew. Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but you're singing fire truck going to the ball. The fire truck doesn't go to the ball. Yeah, but what if there's a fire at the ball? Did you think of that? Well, no. See, the drapes catch on fire, and then they don't have to wait. It's right there. It's ready to put it out. Well, I mean, yeah, but backhoe, shooting to the moon. Backhoe, shooting to the moon. No, shooting to the moon. This is just all wrong. Andrew, I'm sorry to stop you again, but you're singing backhoe, shooting to the moon. The backhoes don't go to the moon. The rocket goes to the moon, not the backhoe. Well, sure, backhoes go to the moon. Where do you think craters come from? Backhoes. That's not right. Rocket, harvesting the wheat. Rocket, harvesting the wheat. Harvesting the wheat. Rocket is harvesting the wheat. This is crazy.
Rocket.
No, rockets don't harvest wheat. Yeah, but just think how fast they get the job done.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Tractor, jet plane, fire truck, rocket. Tractor, jet plane, fire truck. No, this is just great. Harvesting the moon. We're harvesting the wheat. Carrying backhoe, digging up the air. Digging up the air.
Oh my, that's so funny. He has it all messed up, doesn't he? Goodness sakes. Okay, I think that's about enough for today. We're gonna do brown bear good night, or good afternoon, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. Enjoy the 4th of July. Have a great weekend. It's a nice holiday. Your parents will be around. I love you all.